This week brought massive changes to North American immigration that could affect millions of people. From Trump's shocking $100,000 H-1B visa fee to Canada's dramatic shift in public opinion on immigration, if you're planning to move, work, or study in the US or Canada, you really need to know what happened this week. Pause for effect. Stay tuned because some of these changes take effect this Sunday, and missing this information could cost you thousands of dollars or even derail your immigration plans entirely. I'm going to break down everything you need to know about this week's developments, explain exactly how they affect different types of immigrants, and give you actionable advice on what to do next. This is information that immigration lawyers are charging hundreds of dollars to explain to their clients. Before we dive into this week's specific news, let me give you the big picture of what's happening in North American immigration right now. We're witnessing the most significant shift in immigration policy since the 1990s. Both the United States and Canada are moving away from the more open immigration policies of the past decade and toward what experts are calling economic selectivity. Basically, they want fewer immigrants overall, but they're willing to pay premium for those who bring significant economic value. This shift is happening for several reasons: post-pandemic economic pressures, housing shortages in both countries, changing public opinion, and political pressure from various constituencies. Understanding this context is crucial because it explains why we're seeing such dramatic policy changes. Now let's break down exactly what happened this week and what it means for you. Let's start with the bombshell from the United States. President Trump just announced that starting this Sunday, H-1B visa applications will require a $100,000 fee. Yes, you heard that right, $100,000. To put this in perspective, the current H-1B application fees range from about $1,500 to $6,000 depending on the company size and type of application. This new fee represents a 1,500% to 6,600% increase. This is not a gradual policy adjustment, this is a complete transformation of the H-1B system. But here's what's crucial, and what many news outlets are getting wrong. If you already have a valid H-1B visa, you won't face this fee when re-entering the country. This is specifically targeting new applications. However, renewals and extensions are still unclear, and this could affect hundreds of thousands of people currently on H-1B visas who need to renew. The administration is also implementing higher prevailing wage requirements simultaneously. What this means practically is that companies will need to pay H-1B workers significantly more than they currently do, and pay $100,000 just for the privilege of filing the application. Most industry experts are saying this will effectively end the H-1B program for all but the highest level positions at the largest companies. Here's who this affects immediately: media. Diverse group of tech workers in open office, healthcare workers in hospital hallway, engineers in hard hats at construction site, tech workers, healthcare professionals, engineers, researchers, consultants, and anyone in STEM fields who is planning to apply for H-1B status. If you're an international student on OPT planning to transition to H-1B, your timeline just became critical. But it's not all restrictive news from the US. Trump also introduced something called the Gold Card Initiative, and this could be a game changer for high-value immigrants. This program will fast-track successful entrepreneurs, investors, and business leaders who can demonstrate they'll affirmatively benefit the nation. The language suggests we're looking at people who can create jobs, invest significant capital, or bring unique expertise. While details are still emerging, immigration lawyers are speculating this could be similar to other countries' investor visa programs, potentially requiring investments of $500,000 to $1 million or more. But unlike the EB-5 program, which has massive backlogs, the Gold Card appears designed for speed. This represents a clear policy direction. The US still wants immigrants, but only those who can pay premium prices or bring substantial economic value from day one. So, to understand why these changes are happening, let's take a look at the numbers. Between 2020 and 2025, more than 11 million immigrants arrived in the US, with 2023 alone seeing over 3 million arrivals. That's actually the highest annual total ever recorded in American history. This surge has created political pressure, housing shortages, and labor market competition that the current administration is responding to with these dramatic policy changes. Whether you agree with the approach or not, understanding the political context really helps explain why we're seeing such extreme measures. Now, let's look north to Canada, where the story is equally dramatic but represents a completely different approach to the same underlying pressures. Canada just announced their 2025 to 2027 immigration levels plan, and for the first time in decades, the numbers are actually going down significantly. They're projecting 395,000 permanent residents in 2025, dropping to 380,000 in 2026, and 365,000 in 2027. This represents a reduction of about 100,000 people per year, compared to their previous targets. But here's the most shocking part. This policy shift is being driven by Canadian public opinion. A new survey from Nanos Research published this week shows nearly 3/4 of Canadians now support reducing immigration numbers. This is a complete reversal from just 3 years ago, when the majority of Canadians supported increased immigration. So, what changed? Housing affordability has become a crisis in major Canadian cities, with average home prices in Toronto and Vancouver now among the highest in the world. Canadians are directly linking immigration levels to housing costs, job competition, and strain on public services like healthcare and education. Unlike the US approach of creating massive economic barriers, Canada is taking what they call a managed reduction approach. They're not making immigration impossible, they're just reducing the total numbers while maintaining their existing systems. Case in point, on September 17th, Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada held their 5th express entry draw of the month, issuing 2,500 invitations for permanent residency. The system is still functioning, but they're being more selective about who gets invited. What this means practically is that express entry scores are likely to rise. If you're in the pool, you'll need higher language scores, more education, more work experience, or job offers to be competitive. The bar is getting higher, but it's still achievable for well-qualified candidates. Here's something most people are missing. While federal immigration numbers are decreasing, provincial nominee programs are still active and may become more important. Provinces like Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Atlantic Canada still have significant labor shortages and may push back against federal reductions. If you're planning to immigrate to Canada, focusing on specific provinces with dedicated streams might be your best strategy in this new environment. Let's break down exactly how these changes affect different types of people. If you're a student, in the US, your path from F1 to H-1B just became extremely expensive. You need to start looking at the gold card route if you have entrepreneurial ambitions. Or consider Canada, where student pathways are still functioning but becoming more competitive. If you're a skilled worker, the US is effectively pricing out most skilled workers unless you're at senior levels with companies willing to pay $100,000 or more in fees. Canada is still viable, but you'll need higher scores and qualifications. If you're an entrepreneur or investor, both countries are actually creating opportunities for you. The US Gold Card and Canada's various investor programs may be your best bet, but expect to need significant capital. If you're already in either country on temporary status, your renewal strategies just became critical. In the US, existing H-1B holders need clarity on renewal fees. In Canada, converting from temporary to permanent status is becoming more competitive. What we're seeing is both countries moving toward what economists call economic immigration, selecting immigrants based primarily on their immediate economic contribution rather than humanitarian concerns, family reunification, or long-term integration potential. This represents a fundamental shift from the multicultural integration model both countries have followed for decades toward a more transactional, business-focused approach. Okay, enough analysis. Let's talk about what you actually need to do based on these changes. If you're planning to apply for H-1B status, you have until this Sunday before the $100,000 fee kicks in. If your employer hasn't filed yet, you really need to have a serious conversation immediately. After Sunday, start researching Gold Card eligibility, or, consider Canada as an alternative. If you're already on H-1B, contact an immigration attorney this week to understand how renewals and extensions will be affected. Don't wait for official guidance, get professional advice now. If you're considering Canada, start your express entry profile immediately if you haven't already. With reduced targets, processing may slow down, and score requirements will likely increase. The sooner you're in the system, the better. For students in the US, start exploring entrepreneurial opportunities that might qualify for Gold Card status. Maybe consider starting a business, filing patents, or building investment portfolios. The traditional employee pathway just got much harder. For high net worth individuals, both countries are creating premium pathways for you. Research the Gold Card requirements and Canada's various investor programs. Honestly, this might be the perfect time to accelerate your immigration plans. Here are some strategies most people aren't considering. Australia and New Zealand have similar programs to what the US and Canada are moving toward, but with clearer pathways. If North America becomes too difficult, these countries offer viable alternatives with strong economies and quality of life. Within Canada, look at rural and northern immigration programs. These communities are desperate for workers and offer faster pathways to permanent residence. Also, consider European Union Blue Card programs if you work in tech or healthcare. Some EU countries offer easier immigration paths than North America right now. Expert predictions and future outlook. What are immigration lawyers saying right now? Well, I've been talking to immigration attorneys across both countries this week, and here's what they're telling their clients. The H-1B changes are likely permanent and may expand to other visa categories. This isn't a temporary policy that will be reversed. It actually represents a fundamental shift in US immigration philosophy. Now, when it comes to Canada, the reductions are politically driven and could accelerate if housing costs continue to rise or if economic conditions worsen. However, labor shortages in key sectors may force policy adjustments. Both countries will likely see significant brain drain to other developed nations that maintain more open immigration policies. So, what should you expect in the coming months? Based on current trends, here's what I predict for the next 6 months. The US will announce similar fee increases for other visa categories, particularly L1 and O1 visas. The administration is testing public reaction with H-1B before expanding the policy. Over in Canada, there will be pressure from provinces and businesses to maintain higher immigration levels, which could lead to potential policy conflicts between federal and provincial governments. We'll also see increased competition for visas to other English-speaking countries as people abandon US and Canadian immigration plans. Legal challenges to the H-1B fee are almost certain, but they'll take years to resolve, so don't count on court intervention in the short term. If this analysis has been valuable to you, here's how we can build a community around staying informed. First, subscribe and hit that notification bell. Immigration policies are changing weekly now, not just annually. I'm committed to bringing you breaking news and analysis every week, and subscriber feedback helps me know what's most important to cover. Second, share this video with anyone you know who's affected by these changes. The $100,000 H-1B fee starts Sunday, and honestly, many people still don't know about it. Your share could save someone's immigration plans. Third, and this is important, join the conversation in the comments. Tell me, are you affected by these changes? What's your immigration timeline? Are you switching strategies because of these policies? I read every comment and use your questions to shape future content. Fourth, if you want deeper analysis, I'm starting a weekly newsletter with policy documents, attorney interviews, and detailed guidance that I just can't fit into these videos. The link is in the description. Finally, consider supporting this channel. Researching immigration policy changes, interviewing experts, and providing this analysis takes significant time and resources. Your support helps me provide better, more timely information to everyone. Let me leave you with the most important takeaway from this week's developments. Immigration to North America is not ending, but it's becoming fundamentally different. Both the United States and Canada are moving towards systems that prioritize immediate economic value over long-term integration, humanitarian concerns, or traditional skilled worker programs. If you understand this shift and adapt your strategy accordingly, opportunities still exist. The entrepreneurs, investors, and highly specialized professionals who can meet the new requirements may actually find faster, more streamlined pathways than existed before. But if you're trying to use traditional pathways, student to worker to permanent resident or skilled worker applications through standard programs, you're going to face significantly higher barriers, longer waits, and much more competition. The key is being honest about where you fit in this new landscape and adjusting your timeline, expectations, and strategies accordingly. Most importantly, don't make immigration decisions based on old information or assumptions. The rules change dramatically this week, and they'll continue changing rapidly. Stay informed, get professional advice when needed, and be prepared to adapt your plans as policies evolve. Remember, millions of people have successfully immigrated to North America under much more difficult circumstances than these. The opportunity is still there. You just need the right information and strategy to pursue it effectively. Here in Info Express, and I'll be back next week with more immigration news and analysis. Whether you're just starting to consider immigration or you're deep in the process, I'm here to help you navigate these changing policies. Until next week, stay informed, stay strategic, and keep pursuing your goals. Thanks for watching.